Good morning everyone. First of all, please let me extend the thanks to the ITAPA conference for me to be able to be here, and also very big congratulations for your country as well, because if you're going with the same pace that you're going now, you're going to be taking over Estonia in no time. So yes, I'm Erika and I represent e-Estonia today, but I have a very big mission and a very small presentation, and I would like to discuss the topic of could we have actually a nice and pleasant communication with our countries? Like, could it be actually a nice way to communicate with your state without all of this hassle and bureaucracy? And can we think about like, oh, finally I've done with communicating with my country, and think about, wow, I want to declare my taxes. I don't need to register my child's birth anymore. Everything is automated. I actually have a nice experience. So hopefully we will discuss a bit of the seamless citizen experience as a whole. But do we benefit really anything from having, well, 99% of the public services available online? Two things that you cannot do online in Estonia are marriage and divorce. But, well, I can tell you right now the inside information that this is in the government pipeline to digitalize as well, but I think that only Estonians would think of digital marriage. I don't know how it will look like, but at least we will make it available. But also, almost all the banking transactions done in an online format. So that will create, like, you will get an insight. Now that it's kind of like a form where people are used to things online. This is they have formed habits already. There are some of the measurable benefits that we see. Yes, a lot of thousands of working time for the civil servant, but also 5 full days saved for a regular citizen, because I don't have to go to the offices. I don't have to bring a load of documents to apply different forms. And of course, 2% of the GDP is saved thanks to the use of digital signature only. And that is only enabled because we've legislated our digital signature the same level. It has the same binding force as our handwritten signature. So that is the prerequisite in the legislation level of how we can actually finalize digital services, digital transactions, because they are legally valid. And not to mention, of course, stacks and stacks of paper. We're the first e-cabinet in the world to not have any paper governance at all. So just some of the overview of the benefits that we see that we can measure, but hopefully a lot of the benefits that we will see later that also are like more of a social impact. So one of the most important decisions that Estonia took was to introduce electronic identification. And that was already in 2002. So this is like a one entry way to all of the government services. That was the initial plan, right? To enable people the type of one government login. Yes, of course, we're not saying that you have to get the same type of electronic ID. This is our national ID card, and it has the electronic ID embedded. It was just that it was the best technology in the 90s when we started. Perhaps we would do things differently now. But important point is to have one login, one entryway, so the person can easily learn, so that it's all the time it is the same. I can learn the steps of how to use it, so it has to be simple. And I can use the same type of action in all of my government services. Curiously enough, let's be fair, you see here the access to the banking services. It is a holder of my loyalty card. I didn't go shopping with plastic cards. This is what I go shopping with. This holds all my loyalty cards. When I go to a bookshop, right, I get discount. But it was not when the use really skyrocketed, not before when the banking sector got behind. So, of course, banks, being very smart businesses, also wanted to minimize the cost and wanted to engage in online banking. So they took also the Estonian government-issued electronic ID as their strong authentication for the online banking. And if you think about how many times per regular week do you engage with your government services? I mean, I'm an often user and I don't log in every week. But how many times per regular week people enter to their online banking? Almost every single day. So this is where you can also expand not only to private, to a public sector, to the government sector, the use of electronic ID, but at the same time facilitate people's lives even more by introducing the electronic ID, the government electronic ID into the private sector as well. So the strongest identity we have been using since 2002 has been enabled to build the big network of all the other services in an online format. For example, we introduced iVoting in already 2005. And that was the only possibility to do that was to remotely authenticate safely the person who is about to consume the service or cast the vote. In the modern world, we see data as an asset. Of course, we are a small country of 1.3 million people. We are small in territory as well. We don't have big industry or big factories or a lot of production. So the brains and technology is our production. And we see that in modern world, data is a very important asset. For that reason, Estonia is in a really high ranking in offering the digital data that we collect about the citizen, to offer it in an open data sets as well, to cross-use the different type of data, and to also offer possibilities for public entities or for private companies to test their solution. And that way, not to keep all the data to the government somewhere hidden, because one important principle in Estonia is, and well, it's not a principle, it's a law, that the individual is the owner of the data, not the state. So my data does not belong to the government, it belongs to me. So if the government is just holder of my data, wouldn't it make sense if it would open the different type of data sets, not the crucially private citizen data, but the anonymized big data sets to test out solutions and to bring innovation further. Also, Estonia launched a Testbed campaign. We invite innovation, just try it out. We know that we're not the end market of your product, possibly 1 million people, right? But come and test your solution in Estonia, in the physical infrastructure, as Estonia is the first country in Europe to allow anonymous vehicles in open traffic. So we have unmanned buses driving around. But not only that, you can also try your solution in the virtual, in the electronic environment as well. We have this environment, so why not open it for innovation? And hopefully there is a mutual collaboration so Estonia can adopt the newest innovation and cool technological solutions as well. Similarly, we are really looking forward to the cross-border collaboration, at least in the EU level. When we're talking about that we have free movement of people, of capital, projects and services, why when in the modern day when the data is an important asset, my data does not move with me? A lot of Estonians, me included, live, work and study abroad in one moment in their life. So when I move abroad, I basically start my life from zero. Why? I have a big data set back in my home country and that is not moving with me. So this is the type of collaboration we are really big spokespeople for. We just very recently hosted the President of European Parliament, Mrs. Roberta Metsola, also in our center, and that was a central topic of discussion. Let's make the data move with the people, right? And bring the different services as well. We Estonians, we can't wait to use digital services abroad as well. One of the example that is working already is the prescription. This is mutually already adopted between many different countries. So I can buy my digitally prescribed medicine, which in Estonia almost all of the medicine prescribed is only digital. We are not using paper. Why not buying this abroad? don't have to. I don't know. I'm not familiar with doctors in another country where I go to. So another headache. Why would that be an extra obstacle for the people? We have the technology. It works already in a cross-border manner between many different countries, between Estonia, Finland. I think Portugal and Croatia are adopting this solution as well. So we know that technologically it's possible. Let's expand the network. And of course, I really like that you pointed out the cyber collaboration, because this is something that is really crucial. Estonia is a type of pioneer in this field, as one of the first in a really large-scale cyber attacks happened already 15 years ago, and that was a shock to the world. In no time before has there been such an extensive cyber attack against the nation state as a whole. It was good that it happened, because it was kind of a test, a trial for Estonia to see that, yes, our distributed architecture that we have technologically chosen is justified, that we are going in the right way. But at the same time, we need to build up a bigger cyber resilience. And this is why we're collaborating, having the NATO Cybersecurity Center in Tallinn. Also, similarly, all the people in the public sector need to go through cybersecurity tests, similarly like me, and a lot of different cyber collaboration exercises, tabletop, actually practice. Let us theoretically hack you and see how do you resist. And then let's improve the weak points. So definitely the collaboration in cyber is that every country needs to ensure their own cyber processes really heavily, but stronger we are when we collaborate together. I would recap with 3 pillars of information society as a whole, one of them being definitely electronic ID, which is the prerequisite of having all of the net of different services available online. Safe authentication methods, every time reoccurring manner that I can prove who I really am in the online format. Next is availability of the data. When we have collected all of these data sets digitally, then I don't want it to be just in different places of the government. I want it to be cross-usable, because I want to benefit from convenient cross-usable e-services. So Estonia has solved it by our backbone of our digital society, really. It is the X-Road data exchange layer. And we are really happy to report that the same type of software, the cousin of X-Road, Trambita, is right now up and running in Ukraine. When going to the offices to consume government services is no longer possible, their digital governments is being held up and providing the vital citizen services via the X-Road software. And last but not least, integrity of the data. Estonia is the first country to deploy blockchain technology on the government level. We have something that is called Data Embassy, which is basically a data center held in Luxembourg, where we have backup copies. So wouldn't that be silly if we would lose almost 30 years of digital society because we forgot to make copies? And of course, we're bringing the copies a bit outside a bit farther from our not so friendly neighbor next door. And when we say that Estonia is a transparent democracy and the citizens own their data, then I need to get access to my data, right? I need to be able to check how my data is being used. And through transparency tools that Estonia has enabled, for example, Data Tracker, I can enter and see who has viewed my data and for what. When was the last time when you walked into a hospital and asked, could you bring me to the archive room? I would like to see who has used my data. Well, not a regular practice. Enabling the different tracking mechanisms with the online data, with the digital data, is a possible way. So this is the recipe, basically, for information society as a whole. And definitely, Estonians are not born with the digital gene. We don't have gigabytes in water. We had to be taught from the really beginning. also really important to understand that when government is deploying different digital services, very, very cool technology, it is the government's responsibility as well to teach its people how to use them, how to actually operate. So Estonia did a couple of really strategical decisions saying that let's bring computers and internet connection to the schools, all of our municipality schools, and that was already in 1996. So when I went to school, I benefited from the Tiger Leap program as well. So we decided to grow every next generation as digital savvy citizens, so that not to obligate them to use the digital services, but they would have the skills if they wanted to. Next, of course, look at World. So that was open, a series of open trainings for, yes, elderly population, but everybody else who were interested in obtaining different basic ICT skills. How do I log online? How do I give digital signature? How do I declare my taxes in an online format? Yes, they will come to learn 1 year how to declare the taxes. They will learn they will come a second year. But perhaps for the third year, they have already learned the process because it is simple and always the same in a logical manner, right? So definitely we need to think about how to access the people. And through public and private courses, we understood that it is a common goal. This is not that just some ministry, one ministry is engaged with all of this. It was a common goal in all of the society, so also the private companies came to join the mission as well, offering the different ICT courses for its people. Now we can report that 80% of the population aged 16 to 74 years have used or are using the electronic ID, the electronic services, and we are completely okay that the number is not 100%. Not all of the people know and want to use the digital services, but the big majority do because they see that this is really convenient for them. After almost 3 decades of building the digital society, we're not nearly done yet. So what's next for Estonia? We're really happy to see that similarly like you, we are engaging in the next generation proactive services. So the government could approach me if I'm entitled to get any benefit, service, help, or whatever thing I need to. I should not be a specialist of my country to be able to ask for any type of benefit or service. If I'm entitled to it, and the AI will help us also, that we are implemented right now in the government, will help us to make the big analytics, the sorting out, the automatization in the government. So why do I have to ask for something that my government is offering for me? It shouldn't be a secret information to the few selected, but it should be available for all, because we are serving the people through technology. I would say that digitalization is a never-ending, and I personally think inevitable process. And we are not competing against the other governments in digitalization. We are competing with the corporate world that is at least 10 years ahead in the innovation and implementation of technology. But of course we want to be really modern and cool countries to implement really nice technology, cutting edge technology. But at the same time, I really want to emphasize, and I hope that this is the one message that you take away from my presentation, is that we want to use technology to serve its people. So not just having digital processes and cool technology is not the goal, but to actually serve its people. I thank you really, really much for taking the interest in e-Estonia, and I see a lot of very advanced technologies already implemented in your country, so very big congratulations for that. Thank you so much.
Ďakujeme veľmi pekne.